Tonight's racing show is sponsored by Riverview Family.com Auto Sales. Reach out to them for all your auto sales needs. Tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us race car driver Jerry Jenkins. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
So let's talk about your racing career. How did you get started in racing?
Well, it started many, many years ago. My dad was a race car driver here in central Missouri, racing. Back then it was called modifieds, but then it transferred into sprint cars. So I grew up in a racing family, uh, traveled around with my dad when he raced, and then from there, I never got into the race car myself. I did run a mechanics race once, but I was too tall. You know, back in the day, the car was what it was, and my head actually stuck out of the roll cage. And it was expensive, and I didn't want to get invested into it at that age, so I never got into the race car seat, but I've helped with some racing series over the year, helped develop a safety crew for one of the sprint car series, and been a race track official, been a competition director, and now I'm taking over a sprint car series.
Okay, so Jerry, what is the sprint car series you're taking over?
Well, it formed a couple years ago. It was called the MoCan, M-O/K-A-N series. Kind of was based out of the Kansas City, Missouri area. Uh, so I'm the director that had been doing that the last couple years. Uh, his son races 410 sprint cars, and he wanted to spend more time on the road, which he was already doing with his son racing. So they approached me in August and asked if I would be willing to take over the series and start promoting it and directing it. And here we are today. And I'm going to be the director, but I'm changing the name to a sprint car series that used to be here in Missouri that formed back in '99, the Winged Outlaw Warrior Sprint Car Series. Uh, Kind of bringing that name back because it's historical and kind of keep the same footprint that was designed when that series was brought on, which is grassroots and local racers and keeping it local. And that's where we are.
Well, being you're taking over this new series, do you have any big races on your calendar for this new series?
Yes, we've got amazingly, like I said, they've ran the last couple years and they ran about 18 to 23 races, depending on last year compared to the year before. I think we've already got roughly 24, 25 races on the books over about 5 tracks here in the state of Missouri, and talking with 4 or 5 others as we speak to try to get sprint car racing introduced in those areas.
So, do you have a bunch of drivers lined up to race this series, or?
We do. Last year, the Mocan series, they averaged anywhere from 15 to 21, 22 drivers. There's more drivers that, have been wanting to get into the Race Saver, the 305, but there just wasn't enough tracks running, and it just didn't have a good platform uh, that they felt to invest money into building cars, and then there wasn't a whole lot of places around central Missouri and the state of Missouri to race. So we've got, probably I'd say 15 to 18 committed. And, with this series, it's a lot of these drivers can't go to every race because these are grassroots working folks that this is their hobby, like owning a bass boat or going hunting and fishing. These drivers, they're weekend warriors, and uh, so not everybody can go to every race, and I understand that. And But what I want to do is we want to promote this to where we get the surrounding states. You know, Kansas has a few, Nebraska has a lot, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, the whole states around us. You know, if we can go to different tracks and we can draw two or three from each of those states to come to our races, plus the drivers that are going to commit as much as they can, I'm hoping to have a 20, 25 car field every night. That's my goal. That's what I'm working uh, to move forward.
Do you have any sponsors lined up for your new series?
We are working on some sponsors. We've got some sponsors that have been helping us here uh, the last couple months. That's wanting to get on board, and one of those is WK Chevrolet out of Sedalia, Missouri. Impact Signs and Awnings and Wraps out of Sedalia, and then a trucking company in northern Missouri is wanting to come on board, and we're talking with some other sponsors as we speak and trying to work out all the details to get them on board.
Well, how does one sponsor your new track? Do you have a Facebook page that can contact you on?
We do. We have a Facebook page that we just went live with last week. It's called the Winged Outlaw Warrior Sprint Car Series. We're working on a website that I hope to have it live in the next week, and some other social media platforms that we're working to get established.
So if you'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to sponsor this new racing series, reach out to the Winged Warriors Outlaw Sprint Car Series on Facebook to sponsor Jerry Jenkins' new series. He's director of. So Jerry,
Absolutely.
when you were working in the racing career, as far as the many jobs that you've done, what was it like to be a flagman?
Well, I was never a flagman. I was on the ground, being an official, helping lining up cars and doing stuff in the pits. Or, as of late, I've been a competition director where I would actually be in charge of the show and make sure that the races, talk to the drivers on the race radio, and made sure our program ran smooth. So that's what I've been doing about the last 7 or 8 years.
But what was it like to do all those jobs? Was it very stressful?
Yes and no. I'm a type of person that I don't like drama,
Yeah.
and I would tell drivers and stuff that, hey, if you want to have a conversation, I'd love to have that conversation. But once you start yelling, screaming, uh, we're going to wait and talk later. But I had a presence around the track that I felt I was approachable and honest and would work with drivers and hear them out. But the rules are the rules, and I'm kind of a stickler. If it's in the rules, that's what we're going to follow. If we don't like that rule, let's have that discussion moving forward. Maybe we can change that rule. Maybe we can take that rule out or modify it based on, new technology or new things that are going on now. But right now, we have to follow the rule book. And, some nights, it's tough. You got to disqualify drivers and stand up and, right is right, wrong is wrong. And, if they don't go to the scales or they don't follow the rule package, unfortunately, was the guy that had to make that final decision, and it wasn't that stressful. I mean, I've been around it. I understand it. I'm in my prior career before I retired, I was a supervisor, I was a boss, and it's just treating people with respect, and back when I was a lot younger, I officiated basketball, was a basketball official, so there's a lot of stressful things and calls, judgment stuff you've got to make, and so I've had a good life career that put me in a position to be that boss, but also uh, work together with all involved.
Well, what's some of the big events that you've officiated on the grounds for?
Well, when I was on the racing side, or the
Yes.
well, as the competition director, every night of racing, uh, is a big race. You know, you have all the local drivers and the fans. They come. They want to see good racing, and I'm trying to be a fair person. And over the years, I was involved with um, the ASCS Sprint Car Series uh, for a number of years. I did the safety crew stuff there, helped do some official stuff in the later years when they were here in Missouri, and uh, I helped with the National Sprint Tour when it was going on for a couple years. So I've been involved with some uh, pretty pronounced racing events throughout, the Midwest.
Okay. So what is your favorite thing about about doing the job that you do?
Well, it keeps me connected. Like I said, I grew up in a racing family, a sprint car family, and that's what I was raised on. And I like the open wheel racing, and it keeps me connected to it because I love the sport, and this gives me an opportunity to still be involved, but be involved in something greater than me is what I like about it. It's not about me. It's about going to the race and officiating it, and it's fair. I want the drivers to want to come back because they like it. They like the atmosphere. They like the way we connect. Sponsors. I think that brings sponsors on when you run good programs, and the racing is good. Because my goal when we go to any of these tracks is I want the fans when they leave to say, "Man, when are they back here?" Because I want to go watch them again.
Okay. What's some of the craziest things you've had to, like craziest situations you've had to deal with on the racetrack?
Uh, well, some of the craziest. I mean, anytime you have uh, drivers that uh, get mad at each other and they want to fight, they want to do stuff, and I do not like it when drivers use their car as a weapon to try to bump other drivers, or especially under caution and stuff, and going through the pits. So, we've had some scenarios where we've had some drivers that uh, did that, and I don't deal with that very well. I've had drivers that didn't pay attention on the race radio, and if they don't listen, they get parked. And I had a scenario one night where, a driver would not listen to where I was telling them to line up, and we went around the track 2 or 3 times, and I told them the last time, if you do not uh, get in line, you will be disqualified of this event. Well, as it did, they didn't listen, and they went to the front stretch, parked their car, started yelling and at the other official down there on the straightaway. And I told him just tell the driver to take his car back to the pits, load it in the trailer, and they can leave the facility. Because we'll come to find out after talking to this driver's father the next day, his son would not wear his race radio. Well, I told him that's a requirement. You got to have that on. So they were trying to. So the dad was mad at the son because the son didn't know what was going on. But when it all got discussed later, uh, but after that, uh, the father told me that his son would wear the race radio. We've had crashes. Anytime a driver crashes and it's a major crash, or your heart drops because until that safety crew gets to that driver or
Yeah.
drivers and they report back on the radio that everybody's okay. So that's pretty stressful at that time, waiting to get to make sure the driver is okay and going to walk away.
Okay. So, so Jerry, with your racing series coming up, I bet you're staying pretty busy getting that all underway, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's phone calls. emails. Had 2 or 3 emails today talking back and forth with racetracks and uh, promoters, and yeah, it's my evenings are pretty busy. Trying to work on the scheduling and the sponsorship, setting up some meetings and times to meet and kind of go over the platform and make sure we're on the same page. So absolutely, it's not an easy task.
Who was your racing hero growing up?
Oh, my racing hero, there was a couple of them. Danny Lasowski. When I was a young kid, I got to watch him a lot up at Saline County Speedway. So Danny was one of those idols, and then on the national circuit was Sammy Swindell was kind of my favorite driver when I grew up.
Sammy, I don't think he'll ever get out behind the wheel.
No, he enjoys it. Uh, you know, uh, it's fun to always go to tracks, especially at Knoxville or some other tracks around here that he races at, and you know he, Sammy's was very intense when he raced. You got to think about that. When a race car driver comes to the racetrack, that's their job. So they're focused on one thing: is racing good, getting the win, finishing. Because a lot of those guys on that national circuit, I mean, that's their job, that's their payroll. So when it comes to the racetrack, they're not as talkative because they're business mode, just like you would be or I would be at our regular job. We got to focus on that. That's what's important right now. But it's interesting now going to tracks and a lot of the drivers, when I was growing up, and Sammy being one of them that I followed, and uh, it, it's good to go visit because he'll talk to you now, and it's like know each other, and I've got family that's into racing. My niece is married to Phil Dietz with the Jason Johnson racing team, so I'm
Okay.
pretty connected and follow them throughout the year. And then I've got a nephew that is a crew member with the Radine Racing and Justin Peck. So it's in our family, and I get to follow the niece and the nephew and throughout the year and go see. I go to a lot of races, uh, and to go see those folks.
What is the five tracks you've got on your series that you're gonna be running this year?
Well, we're going to be at Moberly Motorsports Park in Moberly, Missouri. We're going to be in Green Valley, Missouri, at Valley Speedway. We're going to be at US 36 in Cameron, Missouri. We'll be at probably I-35 uh,
Watch you.
in Missouri. Wheatland, Lucas Oil Speedway are the confirmed tracks that we have right
I'll have to
now.
see. Okay. So so you got those five tracks. You're building on the tracks to go with that. Um, Jerry, good luck to you with your new adventure, being the director of this series. Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
Uh, You know, I don't. I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to talk because uh, I'm very excited. This, like I say, I have a passion for sprint car racing, and we've kind of lost that drive in Missouri. We have a 410 series that has started up, but they run a couple, 3 times in Missouri. We have the high limit that comes through. We have the outlaws that come through, and I want to get sprint car racing back in Missouri to where a fan, I'm in this for the fans and the promoter because I want to, like I said earlier, I want people to enjoy this, and that's why we're kind of circulating and going around different tracks so fans don't have to travel 2 or 3 hours to see good sprint car racing. There's other tracks, in Iowa that run great racing programs that the fans can go to, but sometimes it's hard for fans. They can't go every week, you know. And I want to be able to put racing on at tracks where it's good racing, it's affordable racing for the grassroots, person that has a normal job, and they do this on the weekends. My other thing that I'm really focused on is trying to bring younger racers into the sport. Sweet Springs, Missouri, they run up there with micros and stuff, and those kids sometimes age out and they want to advance to something else. Same way with Alma, Missouri runs go karts. And then there's a place over at Fulton, Missouri that runs go karts. Well, when those kids get older and they want to get into sprint car racing, I want them to focus on this race saver. It's cheap, it's competitive, it's a good starting point for young racers to get into sprint cars. And then once they get some experience, some knowledge, maybe build up some sponsorship, they can go on to bigger racing. They can get into the 360 racing if they want to. That's not as predominant in Missouri as it used to be. The 410 racing, if they want to go chase their dream doing that and they have the talent and the sponsorship, to go to Knoxville, to go with the Outlaws, High Limit, Power Eye, whoever the racing they want to get into, I want to give them an opportunity to have a place to do that. And then also seasoned veterans, folks that have, you know, been racing 20, 25 years, that they're not chasing it like they used to for point titles and championships and big series and traveling to tracks, to run. I want them to be able to race right here. We've got two or three of those right now. We got Randy Martin that's been running sprint cars 40 years. He's involved in this race saver. Curtis Evans, he's another one that's been running sprint cars for years. He's into this. Mike Trent. Those are seasoned guys that still want to have fun doing it, but it doesn't break their pocketbook, and they're not having to chase that national series and go up and down the road and out of the state of Missouri. So, that's kind of our vision. That's, I want sponsorship to come on board because I want to build, and help produce their vision with their companies. And I think we can team up and work together and uh, help all involved. But coming down, the fans and the promoters, I want to get people wanting to travel around the state when they can afford it, to watch good sprint car racing.
Well, Jerry, I would like to thank you for being on our racing show tonight, talking to us about your new adventure this upcoming season. Hopefully, get a bunch of drivers involved, get some sponsors involved. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. That's what we're striving to do, and as things are evolving, we're going to be successful. I'm very confident that we're going to have backing and support from the top to the bottom. So thank you for, like I say, reaching out. I'm glad to visit, and have a good holiday weekend.
Okay, will do. You do the same, Jerry. I would like to thank you, Jerry, for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about your new adventure. I will have you, and I will give you a call in just a bit to thank you. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jerry Jenkins on our racing show tonight, talking to us about his new series he's promoting. Go follow that series on their Facebook page. And if you'd like to sponsor them, go follow the go spot. Go. That's the other way to go sponsor them. But if you'd like to be on our racing show or talk to our sponsor our racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-713, or you can email us at